Around 960 AD, Mieszko became the knez, the prince of the Polani tribe. What does he inherit? A few rivers, some forests, a respectable number of beavers, and land so flat you can see your future disappointments coming from miles away. Not exactly empire material, is it? But Mieszko, like every ambitious ruler in history, wants more! So early on, he conquers Mazovia. Now, this isn't just a random land grab. Mazovia sits on a key trade route, connecting Western Europe to the east. Without trade, your kingdom is poor. With trade, suddenly you're hosting banquets instead of dancing with cows. With Mazovia under his control, Mieszko now has land, money, and momentum. Which means it's time for the next step in any ruler's career. A strategic marriage, and at least one powerful friend. In 965, Mieszko married Dobrawa, daughter of Christian Duke Boleslaus of Bohemia. It was a political alliance disguised as a wedding. Two birds, one very expensive stone. And then, just 1 year later, in 966, Mieszko the pagan converts to Christianity. Now, was this a deep, personal, spiritual awakening? Maybe. Some suggest that Dobrawa played a huge role, pushing Mieszko to baptize. Probably because she didn't want to share his husband with 7 other women. But was it also an absolutely genius political move that stopped the Holy Roman Empire from labeling him as another invadable pagan to assimilate, like the Pomeranians, the Sorbians, the Czechs, Slovaks, Prussian, etc.? Also, yes. Because overnight, Mieszko goes from pagan warlord to legitimate Christian ruler. Same man, very different PR. Now, small problem. You can't exactly get baptized in Poland if you don't have churches or priests or anyone who knows how baptism works. So, in early 966, Mieszko traveled to Regensburg in Bavaria and was baptized there. But why Bavaria? See, Mieszko wants Christianity, but does not want to be subordinate to the German Emperor. Context: on the eastern borders of the German Empire, Otto the Great, the Holy Roman Emperor, had formed a march system on the eastern bank of the Elbe, which were inhabited by pagan Slavic tribes. This new administrative government was meant to protect the empire from pagan raids, at the same time exerting power over the locals, in the form of subjugation to the crown and Christianity. In 964, Otto I had set up a powerful archdiocese in Magdeburg, right on the Slavic borders. If Mieszko converts through that system, he risks becoming spiritually and politically subordinate to the German emperor. So, Mieszko gets baptized with Bohemian mediation instead, in the Archdiocese of Regensburg in Bavaria. Close enough to cooperate, far enough to stay independent. In 967, just 1 year after becoming a God-fearing Christian, Mieszko does what any peaceful, newly baptized Christian ruler would do. He invades his pagan neighbor, the Wallonian, in Pomerania. It is simply God's will. With some help from his Bohemian ally, on 21st of September, he defeats the Wallonians and kills their leader, Weichmann. Then Mieszko sends Weichmann's sword to the Emperor Otto the Great as a gift. In 973, Otto I of the Holy Roman Empire dies. His successor, Emperor Otto II. And like every German ever, he really did not like anything Polish. So, apparently, according to him, at some point, Mieszko had started supporting Otto II's political enemies in Bavaria. So in 979 AD, Otto II launched a full expedition against Poland, a show of imperial force, a statement, an epic and furious operation. It achieved nothing. But while all this is happening, Mieszko's personal life takes a turn. In 977, Dobrawa dies, marking the end of the Polish-Czech alliance. In 980, Mieszko remarries to the daughter of Margrave Dietrich, named Oda. This marriage was not without controversy. His new spouse, Oda, was also a nun. According to the chronicler Thietmar of Merseburg, the new marriage took place without the church's permission for her to leave the monastery. However, the marriage was not dissolved in order to preserve the peace of the realm. Mieszko was not the only ruler invaded by Otto II. Otto also launched a campaign against the Czechs for their support of the Bavarian claimants. The Germans burned and pillaged Bohemia, a fitting punishment in the eyes of the new emperor. In 981, Vladimir the Great, the ruler of the Kievan Rus, took advantage of the weakened state of Bohemia and invaded the lands of the Red Ruthenia, seizing them without opposition. After a decade of reigning as an emperor and nearly a decade of constant war, on the 7th of December 983, in Rome, after a severe illness, likely malaria, Otto II died, and his successor, Otto III, a 3-year-old. Henry of Bavaria, a known rival of Otto II, exploit the situation and take over power. Otto is king, but all the power are held by Henry. But Henry wasn't satisfied and decides he wants to take the crown for himself. But Otto III's mother, Theophanu, protests this usurpation of power from his son. Many dukes and margraves join her as allies. Among them was Mieszko, who reached an agreement with the empress. Feeling the pressure from the opposition, Henry backs down and renounces the rights to the throne and ended his regency. Boleslaus II, who had fought with Otto II and was an ally of Henry, was probably very disappointed at the situation in Germany, and so he decides to attack the empire and occupies Meissen. In 986, Otto III, or most likely Theophanu and Mieszko, went to war with Boleslaus and raided Bohemia. In 987, whilst Boleslaus was busy fighting the Germans, Mieszko invaded the lands along the Vistula, and without much fighting from the Czechs, he was able to conquer them. The realm now stretched to the Carpathian Mountains. 3 years later, in 990, the Polish prince entered Silesia and occupied it, without much strong fighting from the Czechs. This marks the first time in history the lands of Pomerania, Małopolska, Wielkopolska, Mazovia, Silesia were all part of the same nation. This nation was Poland. From a small tribal territory to a rising European power. On May 25th, 992, Mieszko I dies. He is buried in Gniezno, and he leaves behind something that didn't exist before him. A Poland that is Christian, has survived an invasion from the Holy Roman Empire, has expanded across Mazovia, Silesia, Lesser Poland, and Pomerania. Today, he rests in Poznan's cathedral alongside his son Bolesław the Brave as a symbol of hope in Poland's darkest hours and a reminder of its former glory, a legacy that time has never been able to erase.